Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program with Minmus, playing the Interstellar mod. Right now you are looking at a base that we have on Minmus. Now this base has two pretty large tanks filled with liquid fuel. It has a couple big batteries and it has enough space to house 9 Kerbals. Those were the mission specifics. And now I guess it's time to take a look at how we got it here. So first up, you'll see here, blast off. We're taking up a tug. Now the top of this vehicle has the tug attached to it, and you can see there it almost loses control. But we do get it up. Now this is designed to dock with the payload in orbit and drag it out to Minmus. To launch everything all at once would be a little too much, so I decided to put the tug up first and then put up the base. So you'll see right there, it doesn't look like a base that the base that's on Minmus there. And you can see me slightly miss the target vehicle there. But yeah, it doesn't look like much. Also on the front of it, you'll see it's really just a fuel tank that I have attached. This is to circularize it and also hold more fuel for the transfer out to Minmus. So here we go, docking with that vehicle, and we finally get that there, and we're good to go. So let's get a good look at it in the sunlight. So yeah, it's often best, you can see that the tug is actually on the front. Now that's a lot better. If you think about pushing a chain, you're trying to push a chain, it kind of bunches up. The same happens with this kind of thing. So what you want to do is you want to drag it so everything kind of drags behind and stays in a line. So we've got our tug in orbit, we've got our base in orbit with our extra fuel and our extra tank. Now we're giving it extra fuel. I kind of missed a little bit there. But there's an awful lot of docking in this video because of the various rendezvous that we needed. Now we do use a lot of fuel in this mission, and that's primarily because the weight of our payload, this base, it's very heavy, and we can't use the liquid fuel because it's part of the mission specs that we have that fuel landed on Minmus. So we can't use it, so we're just hauling a whole bunch of dead weight out to Minmus. So there we are. We've refueled our tug vehicle and the extra fuel tank. And I'm just going to release that booster that circularized us, kind of dodge away from it, and I left just enough fuel in there for a slight burn to deorbit it. So it's going to crash back down to Kerbin and leave us happily attached to, I guess, the beginnings of what will eventually be some kind of space station. I've got a bunch of RCS in there and I think a little bit of fuel left. So we'll leave that in orbit, and now we're just planning our maneuver to get us out to Minmus. Now I'm a little rough about it at this point because we're actually going to go about this with a 2-pass attempt, because this tug doesn't have a whole lot of thrust. So what we're going to have to do is burn at our maneuver node, as we're doing right here. And you can see the node at the bottom there. We only actually perform half of that maneuver, so now we're going to swing around, and now I set up a second maneuver node to push us the rest of the way out. And that's the one that we care most about. So let's go ahead and make that burn. You can see there we'll go the whole way this time. It would have taken about 4 minutes to perform the whole burn if we were trying all at once, and that just wouldn't be very accurate. So I went with this 2-burn approach. And again, we're working with a whole lot of weight right here, so here we are setting up a mid-course correction just to get us the encounter that we want with Minmus. Make sure that we're somewhat on the right inclination, that we're going around the planet, the moon, the right way. And there we go. We've got that figured out. There's a little bit of work to do right here. Some circularization. So just set up that maneuver node. A little bit of research while we're doing that. And there we are, circularized. And now we have to take care of this inclination problem. I guess I either didn't hit the node just right, or I hadn't taken this bit into account, but not a big deal. Just a few meters per second of delta V wasted there, but not a problem. So now we're just bringing our orbit down to the current Minmus station that we've used in our previous Minmus missions, and we do have plenty of fuel on there, and that's what we're going to use to fuel our descent with this base. So filling up once again. Now this is a little more fuel than we actually need, but we'll bring what we don't use back to the space station anyway with the tug. So now we've got a little bit of dancing to do, because obviously that base isn't in the correct configuration, and we also need to get rid of that spare fuel tank. So here we are, just slowly coming around, and we're going to construct our base. So the first little bump there, I'm a little rusty on docking, so some of these don't go quite according to plan. Some of them are pretty impressive though as well, so there we go, all lined up. And just kind of easing it towards that docking node. Slowly, slowly. And a little bit rough there, but that's fine. Will it get, yep, there it goes. Switching on the lights. I was hoping that would make a bit more of a difference, but looks like I didn't do a good job of lighting the whole thing up. So we waited until daylight to continue operations. And this is just me fooling around with a few settings that I was hoping would help make this a little bit easier. So I've undocked the first living habitat from the stack there. And this one went quite well. This one did okay. So just pulled it off, eased it down, and now I'm just going to ease it over to its docking port, along with aligning everything correctly. There it goes. That looks pretty good. So, yep, that's a very, very clean dock. Everything's aligned. So here is where I click the wrong button and everything goes awry. The tool I'm using keeps my docking port pointed at the target docking port, and I clicked it at a bad time and it sent me all over. I was hoping to keep everything kind of straight, but instead it sent me on that strange tangent. So, yep, I didn't do a good job there. That was a bad one. So once again, we go in and I kept these in here to show that docking can be pretty difficult if things aren't just right, and to show that it was actually a lot of effort to do this. But there we go, we got that one. So of course this one, the landing legs are on the wrong way, so we have to rotate it 180 degrees and get our docking port set there. So that looks pretty decent. There we go. So all of that's taken care of. Now the only thing to do is get rid of that that fuel tank. So let's find out how I go about that, because I've kind of forgotten since I made the video. This is about 4 hours of footage, the whole mission. So there we go. Okay, yep, that's right. I just left it docked to the main station. So, time to fill up our monopropellant again, since we used so much of it in those docking operations. And, yep, there we go. Click, 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 click. And just export all of it. Well, bring it all into the lander. So there we go, pulling the base off with our tug. And now it's time to kind of turn the whole thing around so that I can land with the base beneath the tug so it can take back off and rendezvous back with the space station. So, close, and yep, knocked it. Not good. Not good at all. But actually, that wasn't the worst of it, because I did make another mistake that caused a little more consternation. You can see there it's relatively stable. It's kind of staying pointed the right direction at least. And here's me trying just to get it, and I get on there and it's just shaking around trying to make that connection. And then I guess I hit the wrong thing and nope. So yeah, that leaves it spinning in space, and it doesn't actually have any onboard control because it doesn't need any, really. It's a base. It's going to sit on the ground, so I didn't add any kind of stability control to it. So it's time for Hensi to save the day. This is me just trying to figure out what the heck to do with the situation. So Hensi jumps out. He'll go and get in the capsule. Go on, there we go. And so he can control it just a little bit. And what I decided to do was actually point the base at the tug, so that essentially all I have to do is back into it in order to dock. So just make things a little bit easier for myself. So overshot it there a little bit. But here we go. There we go, all lined up. Kill our rotation. And very carefully have Hensi jump off, because if he would have knocked it just a little bit, of course there's no resistance other than the mass of the object, but there would have been no resistance for it to that would prevent it from just spinning out of control again. And of course we can't dock to it if it's spinning out like that. That's why I had to get Hensi to do his little thing there. Now I've been very careful with the orientation of this. I don't want those engines to burn the habitats. So I've made sure to have the engines at a right angle to the habitats. So there I am, just making a quick deorbit burn. Not quick enough though, because I overshot and had to make a prograde burn to bring it back up again. And this is maybe my proudest moment in this video series so far, is I landed this thing first time, which, considering my previous performance with the docking, I was quite surprised about. And not only that, but I decided to try and get it as close to our original flag as possible. And yeah, we did a pretty decent job of that too. So here it goes. We're just slowly coming in. I'm waiting to get a little closer to the flag before slowing down. And I could have waited another second or two. But I think we got within 1 kilometer of it, so within walking distance. Oh yeah, easily within 1 kilometer. And that's the landing gear down. There it goes. And lightly, lightly, there it goes, down it goes. Now, what I should have done was set this up so that I could undock with the press of a key, so that I could essentially just let it go and then fly off. Instead, I had to land because I couldn't really undock it while I was flying like that. So here I made a little bit of a mistake and completely forgot to plant a flag to complete our other mission. So we're going to have to pay another visit down to Minmus before taking Hensi back to complete another mission. But for now, we have our base on the ground. Here we go. Just waiting for our rendezvous. So, I'm not sure what happened there. I guess I had something set wrong and it was targeted incorrectly. But we got off of the ground just fine. So there we go, just pushing up to the 10-kilometer orbit of the station. Retract our gear so we look a little more like a tug than a lander again. And back up we go. And just one more docking procedure. Now, the reason I'm docking to that fuel tank is because all of the other docking ports on the station are the small version. They're the small docking ports. The only medium docking port I have available is actually on this fuel tank. So that's where it's going to have to live for now, until I make adapters for the rest of those docking ports. But there we go. We're up at the space station. And once again, down below, there is our base with an insane amount of liquid fuel to just sit there for no reason, and some habitats. So, yeah, mission is complete. So next episode, we've got a whole bunch planned. Have fun.